Hello and all, welcome to a Galaxy Man Show interview show. So for my very last guest of this week is this incredible singer and songwriter known by the name of ELYXIR. So I'm about to add ELYXIR into the live now and I have a chat with ELYXIR about her incredible music that she's made. So yeah, let's add ELYXIR in and have a chat with ELYXIR.
Hello.
Hello, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, really good, thanks. I just want to say first up, thank you so much for taking the time to join my show. It's such a pleasure having you on today. To people that don't know who you are, if you can give like a bit of backstory about yourself, and then we'll dive right into the questions.
Yeah, sure thing. I don't know why I'm so overexposed. It's so bizarre. Like, I'm not this white. Yeah, so hi, I am ELYXIR, and I am a debuting retro wave artist. So I made my debut this year. I released a cover first of all so I could get my Spotify up and running, and that was of Sweet Dreams. And then I had my debut release a couple of weeks ago called Mother Mania, and that was a collaborative release with ELYXIR, who's a producer from the UK. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I've been loving life so far. This is my cat Tris, and she's a needy little grub. Whenever I'm on a video, she just can't not be involved. Can you? Can you? So yeah, that's me, and I'm from Melbourne, Australia. So I live in lockdown city. I've just bounced in and out of lockdown all year. So it's made things very interesting trying to do stuff for music. I'm very blessed that I have my studio and stuff at home, because if I didn't, I'd be in a whole world of trouble.
Awesome. So we'll dive right into the questions now. So for my very first question, so as you mentioned, Mother Mania, what was it like coming up with the idea of wanting to create this song, Mother Mania, and what's the meaning behind this?
Yeah, sure. So it's interesting. I actually got the track first. ELYXIR sent me the track first. He reached out and said, look, I've done this track and I really think that you would suit it. And I kind of had you in mind and I wanted to see what you thought of it. And I really, really resonated with it. And I was like, oh yeah, I definitely want to do this track, 100%. So it was, the track itself is what kind of inspired the melodies and the lyrics. I got the melody down pat first. That was the first thing that I kind of did. I do a lot of melody writing in the car. That's my main place for writing, is to write in the car. So I did a lot of that. And then I just was in a real grump. And I was just grumpy at the world. I was grumpy at everything. I was annoyed about how so many times in my life I've been let down by the people and the institutions and the places that are supposed to kind of care about me the most. And yeah, it just eventually I kind of landed on the hook of the song, and the rest was history. It flew out of me. I mean, I made tweaks and changes, but the kind of concept of the song came really, really fast. Once I knew that was what I wanted to talk about, I was like, yep, here we go. And yeah, just whoosh, out it all came.
So I'll dive right into the next question. So you've also done a cover of Sweet Dreams. What was it like doing the cover of Sweet Dreams, and what did this song mean to you?
So I really wanted to do a cover that kind of showed what you could expect from me lyrically, because when you compare the two songs, they are very, very different, but at the same time, Sweet Dreams also has that kind of negative like angst to it. And I really, really resonate with the melody and the lyric of Sweet Dreams and what Annie Lennox was trying to portray. And so I felt like it was the best taste of what people could potentially expect in how I write. And that was kind of my core reasoning, I guess, for doing Sweet Dreams as a cover, first of all. And I wanted to have something out there so people could kind of get a bit used to what to expect of my voice as well. And give them something to look like, kind of listen to and enjoy in the meantime while they waited for my debut as I was building my fan base and my audience.
So let's over our next question. So what made you decide as a person, and especially as a music artist, to like get into like singing in the first place?
Singing has kind of been in my DNA from the get-go. Music in general has been in my DNA from the get-go. the very first experience that I have of me with music is being 18 months old at an RSL for Mother's Day. And there was this guy just up on the stage with an acoustic guitar, just playing along. And I was just standing at the front, just completely mesmerized. And I'm just sitting there as this tiny little, like, I'm like this big. And I'm just, I'm just bopping along. And then eventually they just gave me a tambourine. And then I got up on stage and I just started playing a tambourine at perfect time. And it was just like, oh, okay, music's in her DNA. And yeah, I used to sing all of my books. I didn't read books, I sang books. So that's where all my like melody writing started at about 5 or 6 years old. And then I started doing piano lessons at 6, and the rest is really just history. I've always wanted to do it. My life has kind of taken me in different paths over the many years that have kind of led me into different areas that I thought I wanted to do, and then it's kind of come full circle and I've gone back into music. I more did songwriting and writing like K-pop and regular American pop and stuff like that for the previous 5 years before I decided to branch out as an artist. And it's kind of ironic because when I was very young, when I was 16, 17, I really, really wanted to be an artist, but I bailed. And I pulled out of doing that because I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think I was thin enough, because that was like an era where women had to be really, really skinny. And I've never been a skinny person. I've always been like a stocky, athletic kind of like build. And so I didn't think I'd ever be skinny enough or pretty enough. And I had a really bad experience on Australian Idol, and I got really traumatized by it and put off. So I kind of like backbenched that idea. And then ever since then, I had like a real disdain for the artist path. And I was very much like, oh, you have to put yourself in a box and have an image and have a this. And I always saw it as a really bad thing. And then, I went and I did the songwriting path thinking that would be easier. Because so many times people like, the narrative is, oh, Lady Gaga, she wrote all these songs. Bruno Mars wrote all these songs. They were these big songwriters. And then they branched into their own. And I thought, oh, well, that would be the easier path. Go and be a songwriter. Well, no, that's not the easier path. That's just, it's just as brutal. It's just as terrible and soul crushing. And I kind of got about 5 years in, and I still felt like I was running in place. And it was like I was on a treadmill or something, trying to get ahead, working on it every day. And I mean, I did have some little successes here and there, but I just got to a point where I was like, you know what, I really just want to do whatever I want, and I want to write things how I want to write them, instead of having to go into all these parameters of how to write pop songs and the way you've got to structure your language and all these rules and regulations, and trying to make something that's universally appealing to absolutely everyone on the planet. And I just wasn't particularly great at it because I'm a little bit too dramatic in how I like to write. How I like to write is very all over the shop in terms of it likes to have all these big crescendos and these builds. I like to kind of use language that's not that it's not normal, but it's kind of quite unique. And I'm not a super emotive, like visceral kind of person. I just like setting scenes and painting with beautiful images and playing around with rhymes and stuff. And I was just like, you know what, I think I'm just going to go do what I want to do, and I'm going to go and gravitate to the type of music that's going to suit what I do best. And yeah, so I gravitated heavily towards synthwave and retrowave music because it was inbuilt and ingrained in that genre, that it had drama, and I was allowed to, write a melody that was melodic rather than rhythmic. So much of the pop these days is super, super rhythmic and conversational, and there's not much melody in there at all. And whereas with this, I could just write these huge, big kind of dramatic songs and be the drama queen that I've always been. So yeah, that's kind of like a bit of an outline of the journey, I guess, to get here. Because like, even though I am coming in as a new artist, I have so much experience in the music industry behind me, and it kind of has given me a bit of a leg up in terms of like actually getting in people's faces and having people listen to my stuff and enjoy it. But I really, honestly, I had no idea how this was gonna fly. I really wasn't sure. Like, Mother Mania felt special in the sense that I thought that it perfectly sounded like an 80s song, and it perfectly captures this essence of what the 80s is and that real rocky kind of thing. And I knew my voice sounded good, but the song's so dark and almost political, and I've never allowed myself to kind of write and actually put out in the world a song like that. They usually just stay in my vault of songs that I write to get things off my chest, and they never see the light of day. And so I really didn't know. I didn't know how it was going to go. I thought it could majorly flop. Like, it could just be majorly not liked. But I knew that the sound of it was going to sound professional. I knew, like, the mix was amazing. The master was amazing. My vocals were sounding great. So I knew those elements would work, but I didn't know if it would actually connect with people. And that was, like, very, very nerve-wracking. So I do feel a lot of relief that people contact me all the time. To be like, oh my God. And it's so funny because I wrote the song about from a certain perspective, but I tried to keep it a little bit open as well. And I've had so many people contact me and tell me the song is what it means to them and how they take it. And it's nothing like how I wrote it, but it makes so much sense when I think about it from their point of view. So it's been really, really cool. I'm really relieved that it's resonated with people. And I'm hoping that even as my sound evolves and I work with different producers, and the music that I've got coming up is not going to necessarily sound like the stuff that I've done, but I'm aiming to keep a lot of the top line and the melody and the lyric really consistent, in that it's really strong, it's really well written, and it's super, super hooky, no matter whether I'm doing a ballad or whether I'm doing a banger or whether it's super synth poppy or it's kind of more got like a outrun kind of vibe to it. I just want to make sure that I'm giving the best that I can, and that I'm writing from true experiences and from true emotions. Sorry, that was a very long-winded answer.
No, it's fine. So I'll tell you your next question. So who would be your, like, all-time inspirational person or music artist, like, that you look up to music-wise?
Oh, there's a lot, actually. A lot of my inspirations are kind of also from pop realm, because, you know, I've been writing pop for so long. This is going to sound funny, but I really, really admire Kesha. I think she has been through an absolute disaster of a time in the music industry. She's had some horrible stuff happen to her. But for the genre that she's doing and the style that she's doing, she just nails thrash pop like no one else. Gaga, I also really have I resonate a lot with Gaga. I think she's got just a phenomenal voice, and her stuff does have a lot of drama in it, and I really love that drama that she brings to the table. In terms of, like, my inspirations in my field, I really am a big fan of Primo. Primo is someone I've talked to quite a bit behind the scenes, so I get along with her really well. And she's just a lovely person, and she's really, really sage with advice and wisdom and experience, and she's just a crazy, crazy good writer, and she produces all her stuff too. With production is something I just can't do. I'm just useless. I mean, I've tried. I can hear the difference in good production and not good production because my ears have been trained, but in terms of actually making it and understanding the engineering side of it, it's not fun. So I just have so much admiration for the fact that she does all of it, that she sings so well, she writes so well, and she produces. Like, that's just crazy. So she's kind of like one of my biggest inspirations in the scene. I also, I really like Nina. I think she does amazing work. Jessie Fry does really amazing work. And so does Roxy Drive. And who's the other person I was thinking of? Oh, not on a singing note, but La Avenue is an awesome producer. So I, like, super love listening to his stuff and getting inspired from that.
So on to our very next question. So what does performing music mean to you, like, especially as an artist?
Well, it really depends, because I don't do a whole lot of performing live. This is going to be the first time I've performed live in a really long time. I have a lot of stage fright. But I think, like, when I'm performing, when I'm actually doing the performance of creating the song and recording it, there's a lot that goes into the recording. It's not just, I don't just go in and do like a one take and then bang, I'm done. Like, I do everything. I work out all of the inflections of how I want certain notes to sound, how I want to sing certain words, what are the emotions behind the words. And I think, like, performing is something that is really vulnerable. It's something that you just very much put yourself on the line in real time. And if you stuff it, you stuff it, and it's terrible, and you just have to wear it, and you're just like a naked person on stage. But it's one of those things where if you at your most vulnerable and you're performing your art for people, and you're just kind of hoping that someone out there resonates with what you're doing. And that's all that you can really do.
So on to our very next question. So if you could work with any top 3 music artists in the music industry, who would they be and why?
Well, I really want to get on Avenue's album. I've said that 6 different times. At some point, I'm going to get the courage to slide into the DMs because I just really want to do something with him. I just love the style. I really love Sunglasses Kid as well. I think he's a phenomenal producer. I'd really like to work with him. And if I could work with anyone at all, I'd really love to get into Max Martin's brain and do something super old school 90s Backstreet Boy hook jam. That would be pretty sick because he's done some phenomenal work. And a lot of his stuff is stuck in my brain forever because it's so hooky. So I'd love to get into his brain and pick his brain and work on something with him.
So on to our next question. So what have you learned about yourself as a person and especially as a music artist during COVID?
COVID sucks. It's rough. I think I've kind of learned that you can still, I'm blessed and grateful to live in a technological era so that I can still resonate and reach people because I've been doing this all through COVID. My whole launch is through COVID. And as much as I'd love to get out there and meet people in person, I just still feel super grateful to have been able to actually connect with people online and still have a level of success and still get acknowledged in a way for what I'm doing. And that's been really beautiful. But I do miss live music. Live music is just it's just the energy at a live show. Not necessarily me performing as a musician, but me spectating live music. The energy is just amazing. And when you really get an artist up there that you really resonate with and they're really, really good and you really enjoy them, I just feel like it's the best feeling. I remember when I went and saw Delta Goodrum quite a few years ago. She's a massive Australian artist. And she just, her voice, my God, it just was stunning. She just was flawless. And every song, and I remember when she was singing all of her sad songs when she was getting so emotional, and I'm just sobbing, crying, full blown crying. And that's the power that music can have when you're in that moment. It's just you and that other artist, and it feels like they're connecting just with you, even if they're performing to thousands of people. And I think that is just so beautiful. And then the other thing I would say is that I really feel like it's shown some of the gaping holes in our industry and how messed up and how backwards and how totalitarian our industry actually is. How is it that Spotify has the audacity to say we're all ungrateful because we dare to want more money for streams and it's not their problem? Do you mind, cat? Oh my God, are you joking? My cat's just climbed up on my thing that's holding my camera. They have grown by 20% in the pandemic, where artists have lost 70% of their income, and Spotify and the record labels and all of that has grown so much. So there's clearly such a power imbalance. And when you actually look into, even as songwriters, the songwriting contracts you get with publishers sometimes are awful. People think, oh, you're going to go and you're going to get this advance and you're going to be rich and you're going to have this amazing lifestyle. It's do you realize you're just getting a house mortgage but with a label? And you're not getting any of that money until you pay all that money back? It's not your money. It's their money. They're just lending it to you so that you can look like you're living this grand lifestyle. And then they're just going to make money off you, and you have to pay that whole advance off with your 17% of the money that you're getting from everything. Like, it's really, really messed up. And I hope that governments start doing some new legislation to kind of make it a little bit more fair and equitable, because there really is such a class system in music of the people who can afford to just be musicians and who can actually make money making music, and everybody else. And most of the people who make money off music don't even make music. They are the business people, they're the A&Rs, they're the labels, they're the publishers. They can more than gladly afford to live on a music career, but their music career isn't even making the art itself. If the people who make the art can't afford to do anything, like if you have to get a top 20 hit as a songwriter every year just to be able to get a living wage, like, that's ridiculous. How's that feasible? Yet people want more and more and more and more and more stuff, and they want more and more and more music. Well, they don't want to pay for any of it. So there's got to be a huge competition at some point.
Yeah. Well, on to my very next question. So what are like the positives and negatives into creating your own music in the industry, and how do you get through those like negative moments as an artist?
Yeah. So I would say, because I've been on both sides, I've been writing music for other people and writing music for myself. The positives about writing for yourself is that you truly get to be authentic in a way that you don't get to be when you write for someone else. Because when you write for someone else, you're always taking into consideration what their brand is and what they want to say. And it's your job to kind of get in their shoes and articulate and express their emotions in a way that they couldn't do themselves, because otherwise they would have written the song themselves. And I find when I'm writing my own music for myself, it allows me to be a little bit more creative and take some risks. So I really like that element of it, absolutely. I think that the negatives of doing it yourself and working like as a musician is that you do get a lot of failure. It can be really soul rewarding, and it can also be very draining on your soul. And you don't get any days off. Like, I'll get on here, I get on social media, and I bring it every single day, but it does get exhausting having to constantly do all your own content, especially when you're expected to have like 13 social media sites. Like, at some point, you just kind of have to go, well, I just have to kind of have this one just so that it exists, and then I'm going to really focus on these ones. It's not possible when you're on your own. Because every social media app, in order to grow, you have to be present on. You have to be an active user. They don't allow you to grow unless you're an active user or unless you're faking it, which there's no point faking it at all, because it looks pretty on the surface, but underneath it's hollow and there's nothing there. And you don't have any support and you don't have any base, so there's no point. But there are days where I'm just like, oh, I really want a little bit of me to myself today. And there are days where I have to take it off, and I just put on my socials, sorry guys, taking the day off. And I think as I get more and more and more successful, people won't expect as much of me. But when you're starting out, you really have to rock up and be there and be present to build that audience. Your audience doesn't just come to you. I think that's the biggest misconception, I guess, that people have, is that you'll just like put your posts up and you'll just kind of put your content out there and people will find it and love it. And yeah, sometimes they might do that. But the bulk of your audience, you have to put yourself as if you were a product or a brand, and you need to get in their face and you need to put yourself in their face and say, hey, based on what you've been doing, the type of stuff you're involved with, I think we do. And then they have a look, and if you've got enough good quality content and and they like engage with it and it hits their interest, then bang, you can get yourself a fan or a follower. But it's just, you can't just be passive on these sites. And the problem is you have to do that on all 13 of them, and that requires time. And most of us have jobs. I have a job, I have a family I have to look after. So, and I've got other things I need to do for my own health, like my physical health, going out and doing my sport. All of that kind of stuff takes up time. So you kind of have to really allocate your time, because it can just get so exhausting. Being on all the time, being engaging, being funny, being yourself can get exhausting.
Totally agree with that. So on to our next question and last question too. So, like, what's next for you, like, for the rest of 2021, like, music-wise, that you would like to announce?
Yeah, cool. Okay. So for now, I have 2 more singles coming out. I'm not going to say who with, but I can tell you that one is coming out next month and then one is coming out closer to the end of the year. And it's with really good producers. And I'm so excited. The songs are completely done. One of them is just currently getting mastered, and then we're getting the artwork made, and then it's going to get set up for distribution. And then the other one is just done. And so, but they're very different. All 3 of the songs I'm kind of releasing this year showcase very, very different sounds. They are all within the synth world and the retro world. They don't stray out of that world. Like, I'm not just going to suddenly become a pop artist. I have no interest in that. But they show off, they have different sounds because I'm working with different producers and I really want to create music that fits into the strengths of the producer. So I kind of just mold and adapt. But they are very hooky in their own way. So it's going to be more earworms, which is really, really exciting. And then I have also potentially got something else coming up for the new year that I'm currently cooking. And I don't want to get too into detail about that, but it's exciting. And I do have some big dreams in terms of like physical releases and some things that I'm currently shopping and cooking and just kind of collating and building the world of, which is super, super exciting. So I'm very excited. I think, this year is all just going to be about cementing my place in the world of retro wave and synthwave and just building my brand and my presence and showing that I can consistently hit the goals and I can consistently do good songs. So that's my goal for this year. And then the following year is when it starts to really, ramp up and we start looking at labels and physical releases and all of that stuff. But I really just want to focus on growing my brand and my presence in the community first and foremost.
Awesome. Well, to chuck this question in, a little sneaky question in, if you could go anywhere on tour, which country would you go and why?
I think that it would make logical sense to go to America because the genre that I do and my audience, a lot of my audience is in America. So I think I would probably tour over there in the States. That would seem like the most logical thing. But I'd also kind of love to tour in Europe, but like do a really slow tour. So it was like I do a show every like 5 days so that I can just holiday for the other 4 and just go out and like hang out in Greece or in Italy or in France somewhere and just relax and take in the sights because I've never been to Europe. So I kind of like am in 2 minds about America and Europe. It would be one of them, I would say. But I think that's a very, very, very long way off, given that we are in Australia and with the coronavirus. I think that's a good 3 or 5 years off.
Awesome. Well, would you like to perform one of your songs, Mother Mania, by the way?
Yes, I can, but give me 1 sec because my throat needs liquid. So I'm just going to go and get it. Oh, hello, Kat. I'm already set up, so I'm hoping that this is going to work. This is the first time that I've like ever performed live. Yeah. So we'll see. I might sound really terrible.
No, you'll be fine.
All right, let's do it. So let me get the right thing up. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Cool. You're calculated distraction through algorithmic destruction. Like me, you say I need you to like me now. Cold hands, warm suffocation. True lies, fake condemnation. Guilty, you don't care if I'm guilty now. Immortal enemy, For in reality, I'm just a casualty of your calamity. Mother mania. Mother mania. Mother, I tried to find you. Mother mania. Mother mania. Mother, I tried to find you. You take the lead and say follow, coercion till we are hollow silence. You say I'm violent with silence now. The cards are stacked in your favor, yet you're desperate now for a savior. You caused the storm, you're a traitor, immortal enemy. For in reality, I'm just a casualty of your calamity. Mother mania. Mother mania. Mother, I tried to find you. Mother mania. Mother mania. Mother, I tried to find you. There's no return. I'm just a ladder road to burn. I'll drift away and grace your arms. Oh, mother, save me now. Mother, save me now. My mother, my mother, my mother, my mother, my mother, my mother, mania, my mother, my mother, my mother, my mother, mania, my mother, my mother, mania, my mother, my mother, I tried to find you. My mother, mania, my mother, mania, my mother, I tried, 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 I tried. Take me, mother mania. Save me, mother mania. Take me, mother mania. Mother mania.
Wow, yes, girl, wow. Well, can I just say thank you so much for taking the time to join my show. It's been such a pleasure having you on the show today. Everyone, definitely go give ELYXIR the amazing and incredible support. Proved right there. Such incredible talent
I know,
right there.
I didn't stuff it.
Oh, man, you were amazing. You were incredible. Truly sensational. Do you have, like, any last final thoughts for people that have tuned in?
Yeah, I would just say, like, please don't hesitate to come say hi. As most of my, like, fans would know, that I'm a very chill, friendly kind of chick. Like, I'm always up for a yarn. Go and check out my profile. Go check out my music. And, yeah, I'd love to connect with you. So, and thanks so much for coming and lasting this long. It's been a really great interview. I've had a really good time. And yeah, I'm really, really glad that we did this, and I'm glad to meet you all. And yeah, have a beautiful weekend. And thank you so much for supporting talent as well. I'm really, really grateful that you have me on the show.